Previously on the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast.
I think we now are at the stage of proceedings where you tell us what we're going to be reading next month.
I am, and we are. Given, Chris, how disappointing this trip to America was, I thought that in the spirit of eternal American optimism,
right,
let's try again.
Okay.
And so for February,
yes,
we are going to be reading, and how can it be anything else, The American Adventures. Which is a short story anthology featuring the 12th Doctor.
Cool.
And I believe that all of it, or most of it, is written by Justin Richards. So we're staying in America for a bit, and we can both judge how authentic this is.
Yes.
Especially considering you'll be in the United States forthwith.
Yes, that'd be great. Is there any set in Minnesota?
I'm not sure, but the odds are not good. One out of, I think there's 6 stories, so slight chance, but
yeah.
And now our story continues.
Welcome, everyone, to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. This is Matt in Minnesota.
Chris, back in South London.
I was waiting for you to say Chris in Minnesota.
Yes.
Oh, welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic being out over in Minnesota and meeting you in person for the very first time. Yeah, and also as well meeting all the wonderful people at Console Room.
Yeah, it was a fantastic weekend and very much exceeded my expectations, and it was wonderful to meet you finally in person after doing the show together for over 7 years now. Yeah. And just pleased at how well it went, despite how cold it got that weekend. Although we're now in the 40s again, so it's a distant memory at this point in terms of weather.
Yeah.
Before we get more into Console Room, because I suspect that may be both of our show and tells for this month.
It will be, yes.
We had a couple of book news items and show news items to cover with you all. In terms of book news, it looks like we have listings for 2 original hardcover Doctor Who novels that have appeared on a major online retailer's website. One at the beginning of Ncuti's first season, so May 9th, it looks like there's going to be a novel by Georgia Cook, and then another by Una McCormick on July 11th, which is at the end of Ncuti's season. And I think you have a Georgia Cook connection.
Well, I do, yes. Georgia is the partner of Theo Trelawney, who helped organise Mild Curiosities. And also as well, Lauren, my other half, has published Georgia Cook on the Horror Tree website. Sort of didn't know who she was, but then was just reading through and was like, oh, there's some Doctor Who credits. Chris, do you know this person? Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Cool. And then also the hardcover version of the Church on Ruby Road novelization came out, but I decided to hold off on it in hopes that a paperback version, kind of more in the Target format, is coming. And it turns out that is. On July 18th, we can expect the paperback version of that novelization to come out. And there's also an audiobook version read by Angela Winter, a.k.a. Cherry Sunday. And in terms of show news, we're hearing rumors that there might be a spin-off series called The War Between the Land and the Sea.
Yes.
A 5-parter, I believe featuring the Sea Devils. And it does make me wonder if the land reference could be perhaps a reference to Silurians instead of humans. I think that would make it really interesting if it was kind of like a civil war between the Sea Devils and their cousins, with humanity getting swept up in the middle. But since that's what I'm hopeful for, it probably won't end up being that complicated, I don't think.
Yeah, as long as it makes the Sea Devils threatening, and because they have not been on their most recent outing on television.
And I wonder also if Unit will be featured heavily in it versus them getting their own miniseries, perhaps.
I would suspect so, yeah. And who knows, maybe Ruby Tuesday will be in there, because...
Or Ruby Sunday, even.
Or Ruby Sunday, rather, yes. I knew I was going to get that wrong, but yes. Looks like Ruby might be...
Departing the TARDIS.
Departing,
which,
yes.
I mean, most companions only lasted a season or so, traditionally anyways. And it sounds like she's going to have a limited role in Ncudi's second series, so... You could have like a Martha-style departure where she keeps coming back in multiple episodes.
Or Donna.
Season. Or
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of, shall we say, excitement in the press saying that she's been axed. But like, well, as you say, companions can often only just like last a season. Dan, even more recently.
We didn't get headlines like John Bishop is axed. We didn't see that headline after Flux. So
yeah, also John Bishop is not a teenage girl. Well, teenage woman rather. I do wonder whether we have sexism coming to play here. I'm pretty sure we do.
We also got a mini-sode, The Final Battle, not to be confused with The Final Battle, by Pete McTighe. We got to see Leela in the Time War, and I thought Louise Jameson's acting in it was incredible. I wish she would have acted with that same level of believability on the show proper, but I understand she's had, a good 30 or 40 years to hone her skills. But yeah, and maybe she was always that good and I just never saw it before.
Of the classic era companions, she's the one that has had, I would say, she's the one that has had, until comparatively recent Bonnie Langford, the most celebrated acting career. She's been renowned and celebrated for various post-Doctor Who roles. So like Tenko and Bergerac spring immediately to mind. She was also in EastEnders for a while, and people seemed to appreciate her in that. Yeah, she is a very good actor, but I also appreciate that Leela is not for everybody, and there were quite a lot of behind-the-scenes hijinks, weren't there?
Yeah, that's true. Did you enjoy I'm assuming you've seen the trailer?
Yes,
maybe short film, I guess you could say.
Yeah, greatly enjoyed it. It also gets me excited in case Leela might be coming back into this TV series.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. And the trailer came out during Console Room weekend, so it was cool seeing like news of it spread throughout the weekend, and Lisa Bowerman was saying how good it was and that Sylvester really needed to see it, and I think they were huddled off in a corner watching it on Sylvester's iPhone at some point. And speaking of Console Room, I think that may be a good segue into our show and tell.
Yeah, collective show and tell, which is Console Room.
Yeah. So we have a number of days to cover in a short amount of time, so maybe if we approach this day by day. So the Wednesday of the convention, Chris, you flew in, and we actually met up that evening, and I think you were on the same flight both there and back as Lisa.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I didn't go up and say hi to her at Heathrow before we took off, because I just kind of thought, all right, I'm a bit tired. I don't want to say something stupid. And so I went and found a seat, and then I was moved on by security right in her eye line. I thought, oh, great.
And we met up at the hotel, and we got some dinner, and then visited the Capitol, and the cathedral kind of lit up at night, and went along Summit Avenue and looked at all the old mansions from years past. Yeah,
and saw where The Great Gatsby was written.
Yes, the Commodore
Hotel, which I was not aware that would be written in the Twin Cities. And you said the cathedral, so I saw St. Paul's, which is kind of, I find amusing, because like whenever I'm in London, I see St. Paul's from my office.
Now you've seen both of them.
Seen both of them. And St. Paul's Minnesota branch is definitely, I would say, bigger than the other one, though possibly the other one you may well say the other one is more historic.
True.
The other one has had more Cybermen incidents than the St. Paul, Minnesota.
Although it would be fun to film a fan film, because the steps are a lot steeper and more prominent in the Minnesota version. And on Thursday, we did a tour of the Skyway system in Minneapolis, kind of running around.
Because, the Skyway system, it goes between buildings. So when it's really, really cold, like it was, you can go from your apartment to your office to your bank to your hospital without actually leaving the warmth of indoors, because you're just walking through all these corridors.
Picture a giant habit trail, sort of.
Yeah, yeah, but it was great. I very much enjoyed just walking around, because like we have a perception in the UK that people in America do not do pedestrian stuff, and here was a whole host of people just walking around.
And we also went up to the top of the Fauché Tower, which is a very short skyscraper.
Yes, it was at one point the tallest skyscraper west of the Mississippi. Given that the Mississippi actually is very close by, I find that slightly amusing. It's kind of like, if it had just been built over in St. Paul, it would have been east of the Mississippi and wouldn't have been as impressive. It was a very cool piece of design, a wonderful kind of, I don't know whether you describe it as Art Deco. It's also really quite cold up there. There's no glass. You're just exposed to the open air. Yeah, but it was very, very fresh. But we weren't the only people who were up there.
Yeah.
There were other crazy people. And then we experienced the Sculpture Garden of Minneapolis.
Which has the cherry and spoon.
Yes, a giant cherry on a giant spoon on a frozen pond/mini lake, which we very tentatively tested the ice of, and I was like, right, but we're not going to walk too far on this because, don't want to tempt fate.
Yeah.
But by that stage it was like, I think it was -7 or 8 in Celsius, and and it only got colder.
Yes. And we also stopped at the Minnesota History Center, which included checking out a World War II paratrooper simulator, as well as learning about kind of all the riverways and
Peanuts.
Yep, and the Peanuts exhibition with Charles Schultz, also a St. Paul.
And I didn't know that the name of the Mississippi River came from a local indigenous language. I'm going to mispronounce the name of the people. The Ojibwe?
Ojibwe, yep.
Ojibwe. I had no idea that the name came from as far north as that.
As does Minnesota, which is from the Dakota language.
Yeah.
And we made it back to the hotel in time for Doctor Who Tavern. So shout out to Bill, Jeff, Charlie, Jason, Robert, Elijah. Christopher Jones stopped in at Tavern, as did Lisa Bowerman, and for the first time ever, Sylvester McCoy wandered through. I didn't think he realized he was attending Doctor Who Tavern, but that was really cool and special.
Yes, he just wandered past. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this was happening in a hotel lobby, so but, it was great. Yeah, and it was lovely to see in person people who we've had on the show in the past. So that was fantastic.
And then from there we had a VIP guest of honor reception, and we got a goodie bag which included a stress squeezer in the shape of a black box from The Power of Three.
Yeah.
And post reception, a group hung out, including Lisa Bowerman, where we learned her first convention was in 1998 at Visions in Chicago, where she was a last minute replacement for Anthony Ainley.
Yes.
And then any highlights from Friday? This is the day where it starts to get really cold, and
yes,
most of the blizzard fortunately missed us and hit Iowa to the south.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what happened on Friday. It all got quite a bit of a blur, but the Monster presentation, I think, was Friday. So we had a guest actor who had come over, who had been Cyberman and an Ood and various other things.
Oh, John Davey, yeah.
John Davey, yeah, and had a wonderful presentation that was a last-minute decision of mine to kind of go and attend. I'm so glad I did. And he was a brilliant guest, and I think definitely any convention, it would be fantastic to have him. If you're organising a convention, have him attend, because he was very witty and knowledgeable
and enthusiastic,
and gave you interesting insights. Like with his presentation, you could also see his roles, and he rapped live on stage.
Yeah, and he was in over 50 episodes of Doctor Who. He had some lines in the Sontaran two-parter from Series 4 where he was a unit soldier. He's the bloke sitting behind Billy Piper in the flashback on the double-decker bus in Army of Ghosts and Doomsday.
Yes.
Yeah, it was just really cool to hear some of his behind-the-scenes tales, and especially, I would say, like with Flux and how much changed during that production. I really think there could be like a writer's tale style book that could be written about that season, because he was referencing a lot of stuff that was shot but ultimately not used in terms of like deleted scenes and missing footage and stuff.
Mm.
We got some cool tidbits from Lisa Bowerman, where I learned her older brother, who was also on Coronation Street, also played a stage manager in Talons of Wang Chiang.
Yeah.
There was an acknowledgement from Lisa that in the Benny Range in its earlier days, it was sometimes seen as like a test lab for newer writers and producers before graduating to Doctor Who.
Mm.
But I also got a real sense of appreciation that she still gets to play this role some 25 years later.
If she was here, she would say 26.
Oh.
She's very keen to point out that whilst Big Finish is celebrating their 25th anniversary.
Yeah. It's actually been 26 years, yeah. She predates Big Finish getting the license for Doctor Who.
Yes.
And we had opening ceremonies. We ran a pub quiz. We had 3 teams for that. The bonus round question was name as many articles of Rassilon as you can.
Yep.
We were on a Discord panel about podcasts, and then the Welcome Shooty Gatwa panel was very well attended, including, I didn't realize until the end of the show, Lisa Bowerman was at the back of the room just sitting in, listening to the panel, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Shout out to Consuite, which had like pizza, baked potato bars, pancakes, like food throughout all the weekend, which I think is a real Midwest tradition that you don't see in a lot of other conventions.
Yeah.
Especially, I think the hotels probably would frown upon
Yes.
having like a hospitality suite.
Yeah, because it was free of charge, so you could just wander up and go and grab a baked potato and various other, and it was a lovely place to just kind of hang out and chill. I mean, look, people were also like chilling downstairs in the bar, but yeah.
And I think that brings us to Saturday, which was the big day where you got to interview Lisa on stage.
Yes.
How was that for you?
Good. I mean, it helped no end by the fact that I'd accidentally ended up having breakfast with her because we were down at breakfast at the same time. And so we built up a bit of a rapport. We were just kind of like chatting away. And yeah, it was slightly due to clashes. I hadn't actually seen any of her interviews, so I didn't know what questions she'd been asked. But she was able to, with fantastic professionalism, steer, I think, through to giving different answers. Or yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, I was in the audience, and I thought you did a fantastic job, and just really, the rapport you two had was very evident, and learned a few tidbits, like, for example, the name of her horse in Survival was Fury.
Yes.
And she got to meet Rona Monroe years later after like a stage play or something, and Rona asked her if she had gotten eaten by one of the cheetah people. And Lisa replied, "No, I was the cheetah person." She also kind of mentioned that when talking about Matt Smith, that with Wendy Padbury discovered Matt Smith and signed him. She was his agent, which was really cool.
Yes.
I did have an interesting thing happen where I had Lisa sign my copy of Love and War, which had previously been autographed by Paul Cornell, but her pen exploded all over the book. But we managed to get most of the ink cleaned up, and now I have a story to tell about why my copy of Love and War looks that way.
Yes.
I also learned that Sylvester McCoy had a cat named Lizzie for 21 years.
Oh.
And I got to tell Sylvester how much I enjoyed I'd watched the Barry Island cast performers show that they did after filming Delta and the Bannermen, which was an extra on the season 24 Blu-rays. And he had completely forgotten about that, and he thanked me for bringing it up with him because it unlocked that memory for him, which was really, really sweet to hear that.
Yeah.
And then there was also a fun panel that you were on with Big Finish author Kathy Sullivan about Doctor Who magazine that I really enjoyed attending.
Yes. I'd forgotten she was a Big Finish author.
Yeah, she's written for Benny, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was quite a few times where I was just like, oh, this is a big person. Yeah, that was quite cool.
And that brings us to Sunday, the final day of the convention.
Yes.
There was a panel with Sophie Aldred.
Brilliant panel.
That worked flawlessly. I was so impressed with the technical setup.
Yes.
Sophie could see the audience and was making comments on those that were dressed up as Ace.
Yeah, she was joining from the UK, to make it clear.
Yeah, virtually.
Yes.
We could hear everyone. There wasn't that annoying echo like with One Direction at the 50th after show. It just all really worked, which was incredible.
Yes.
On Sunday, we also had our other panel, which will be coming out as a special episode, kind of an overview and history of the Doctor Who book club.
Yeah, and a Choose Your Own Adventure panel. I can't remember when we did that, but that's already in your feeds, dear listener.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a hoot.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
In front of a live studio audience.
And then at closing ceremonies, highlights. We got our picture taken with Sylvester and Lisa, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's also a lot of content up on the Console Room YouTube channel,
Yeah.
including a fun panel about Doctor Who reference books that's worth checking out. And just wanted to kind of shout out all of the volunteers and convention committee. And
Yeah.
there's so much work that goes into this, and there's a lot of turnover happening with the convention committee staff after this year. I think they're going to be looking for help in Con Suite and programming in particular. So listeners, if you are local to the Twin Cities and are able to step up and help them out, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah. For me on Sunday, it was helping load a U-Haul van in -20.
Which they were very grateful for your help with.
Yeah.
And I think even like Kelly and Marissa from programming were mentioning later, like, Chris was helping with loadout. We can't believe it.
Well, I was just kind of thinking, well, I may as well. I'm an extra pair of hands, so as long as I'm not causing problems, and yeah, let's do that. I did have the curiosity of what's it like moving stuff around in -20, and the answer is it gets very slippery inside a U-Haul van because like I had what I thought were kind of like grippy shoes, but even still, every now and again I was like, oh.
Because you were going to try and go running in this weather too, but I think that was cancelled.
Well, yes. So John did go for a run in short sleeves. I think, yeah, he said to me that he later realised that this was possibly a bit of a mistake because I think his sweat froze on him.
And I think you stepped out at one point, like after a shower or something, where your hair was still wet, and
yes,
quickly experienced how it freezes, like almost like stalks of hay, kind of crunchy.
Yeah, somebody saw me across the parking lot and was kind of smiling and nodding as like clearly they could see realisation dawning on my face. Oh, blimey! Oh gosh! Okay, let's get back inside. Yeah, because I thought I had dried my hair, and like I then made sure that whenever I next went out, I used a hairdryer because like normally I just let my hair naturally dry, but like nope, not chancing it. So I went for a walk on Monday to the nature reserve. I made sure that my hair was very dry, and even still, I made sure that I kept in sight of like the building and stuff.
And Sunday night as well, there was the kind of the after party, which Sylvester and Lisa stopped by and thanked everyone, which was wonderful. And just to see Sylvester kind of wandering around the party was great.
Yeah, because Sylvester's always on. Because like there are some times where you kind of think, oh yeah, somebody might. I mean, okay, sure, there are times where he's sort of like sitting around, maybe in a green room, kind of like checking his phone. But there doesn't seem to be a difference between off stage and on stage. I mean, it's the same with Lisa as well, but Sylvester's on is like on, isn't it?
Yeah, he was, I mean, very interactive, getting out into the audience and just really fun. Yeah, charging about a lot more than someone who comes onto stage with a stick, you would expect. Yeah, almost reminded me of like Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. Yes. And then on Monday, my husband Matt joined us again. He was able to stop at the convention on Saturday, and we took you, Chris, on a tour of the Mall of America. Yes! We again had some Mexican food, saw a wall of cactus. Yes. And met a Doctor Who fan at one of the Minnesota stores in the mall where you got a souvenir magnet. Yes. We visited the Lego store, saw the home plate of the former Met Center Stadium, and then you were off back to the UK. Yeah. As I say, again, on the same flight as Lisa, so we were just chatting away in departures together. So it was very, very lovely. But it was kind of thinking, not every convention's like this, but I think it just speaks to the spirit of the convention that it was just like everybody mucking in together. But also as well, one of the highlights for me, due to like the various weather events, there were quite a few people that were having to spend the night in the hotel on the Friday that obviously hadn't been planning to, and there was one woman who very proudly declared in the lift, "Oh, I've just realised there's a Doctor Who convention happening." There were some people who just look of absolute confusion throughout. It was amazing. It very much reminded me of the old British TV series called GBH, in which Robert Lindsay's character goes through the same kind of thought process. Firstly thinking he's having a breakdown, and then realising, oh no, there's just a Doctor Who convention happening. And I discovered that K9 runs on Python. Which may mean nothing to folks, but to people of an IT inclination, then yes. And there was a K9 wandering around, and with its owner being remote controlled, and we saw some. So the owner was remote controlled. Well, wow, got that backwards. Sorry. Strike that, reverse it. But yeah, we saw folks dressed up as like Daleks, and there were a few Missies wandering about, and
there were,
Victorian doctors who had their costumes, and just a really fun weekend. And thank you again, Amber and Jason and the convention committee for having us as guests. It was fantastic. Just, couldn't imagine a better weekend. It was great.
Yes. Oh, and the silence. I have to mention the silence that appeared at the back of the horror panel.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yes. Just sitting there at the back and causing a mild amount of chaos. Because we were just going to go, oh, what? So, yeah.
So we do actually have a book to review this month as well.
Oh, we do, yes. A shorter book, fortunately.
Serendipitously titled The American Adventures. Mm-hmm. And this is written by Justin Richards. And we've read a few books by Justin in the past, including Dreams of Empire and Grave Matter, and he's also the former editor of the book line. Mm-hmm. And this was published in October of 2016. And in a November 2016 interview, he indicated that these stories could be seen as taking place prior to the loss of Clara, and kind of during Series 8, which is when he was leaving Clara to get on with some teaching. But I didn't get that impression at all.
No.
From the books. In fact, I thought they all took place like after the Husbands of River Song, but kind of before the events of Dr. Mysterio, because there's absolutely no references to Clara anywhere in the book or anything like that.
Yeah, and there's no Nardole. No, I certainly, in my head, I wasn't thinking that this was in between hanging out with Clara.
Yeah, not at all. And so my headcanon is the author of the book is wrong. So we have 6 short stories, all set in America to go through, and I think we'll set the TARDIS timer for 7 minutes, and probably won't need that long for each story, but we'll see. So I started that, and the first is...
The first is All That Glitters, which takes us over to California, where there are gold panners doing gold panning things.
Yeah, 1849.
The Gold Rush era.
And we meet Josh, a gold rush prospector out near Sacramento, California, who is panning for gold, and he instead finds a small silver object in a stream that slowly begins to take over his mind. He walks several miles to the nearest town and proceeds to break into the town's blacksmith shop, where he knocks out Josh the blacksmith.
Jesse.
Or Jesse, Jesse the blacksmith. And Jesse wakes up to find certain bits of metal from his shop missing, and other townfolk report various items stolen as well. And the 12th Doctor is on the scene, and he organizes, along with the sheriff, a small party to go search the nearby hills for him. And this brings us to our dramatic reading. And for this month, we have Jason Tucker, founder and chair of Console Room, to provide that reading.
Yeah.
Let's hear from Jason.
The doctor, sheriff, and a handful of men from the town made their way on horseback down to the river first. Everyone knew that Josh panned for gold with some success in its waters. The trail down into the valley where the river ran was steep and treacherous in places, but the horses managed without too much trouble. They headed upstream along the bank, away from the town and towards the hills. This seemed the most likely place for Josh to have camped. He would want to be as far upstream as possible in order to find any gold before anyone else spotted it. Also, the further along it ran, the deeper the river became as other streams fed into it. Panning was definitely easier closer to the hills. Each rider kept a keen lookout for any sign of Josh, but it wasn't until the afternoon that they finally found his campsite. His tent was pitched close to the river. There were the remains of a campfire, and Josh's pan was propped up against one of the tent's guy ropes. The whole campsite looked as if Josh had just left it a few minutes earlier, except that the fire was cold ashes and there was no sign of the prospector at all. The doctor jumped down from his horse and started to examine everything in detail. The sheriff dismounted too, and soon everyone was helping the doctor to hunt for clues. Finally, the doctor stopped and placed his hands on his hips. Josh hasn't been here for a while, he announced, although everyone else had already come to the same conclusion. And he went that way. He pointed off to the edge of the campsite where there was a gap in the nearby trees. How could you possibly know that? One of the men scoffed. The doctor seemed unruffled by the man's derisive tone. We didn't pass him on the way here, so he didn't go downstream. He hasn't taken his pan, so he isn't panning for gold. That means he doesn't need to be by the river. And, in any case, upstream from here the riverbank gets very high and steep. I guess that this is as far upstream as Josh felt that he could sensibly make camp. So that leaves, the doctor pointed to the gap in the trees. Then he jogged back to his horse, jumped into the saddle, and continued. Plus, you can see there are footsteps in the mud. They lead away from the campsite, and they don't come back again. So we follow Josh's footprints, the sheriff said, nodding. As far as we can, the doctor agreed. After that, we'll have to guess where he might be headed. To me, it looks like he was making for the hills. They were at the base of the range of hills. The river came down from the hills, which was why it became harder to follow as it wound further upstream. Jesse the blacksmith wondered what Josh could be doing up in the hills. There was nothing up there. The terrain was dangerous. The pain in his head began to throb again as he considered whether Josh had actually meant to escape or whether he had wanted to be followed all along.
Thanks, Jason, for reading that.
Yep.
And thank you for having us as guests at your convention this year.
Yeah, very much, very much. Thank you so much.
So eventually, the doctor catches up with a creature
Mm-hmm.
who's inhabiting the body of Josh, and they link minds, and the doctor, he sort of throws the creature off the cliff, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of Brain of Morbius fashion.
Yes.
And although Josh survives, so is able to separate the consciousness, kind of forget that details how it works. But we never find out what species the creature is or where the doctor parked his TARDIS. He's very much kind of the stranger, a figure riding in and out of town.
Yes, it's a very Western vibe, isn't it, for a story involving people building bodies out of wood and metal.
And the doctor's sonic emits a blue and not green light, so this has to put the story after the events of the Series 9 finale. So Justin Richards is wrong, because otherwise he would have had the green sonic. So I kind of think this maybe happens after the doctor shows up in the first episode of Class.
Yeah.
What did you make of this first story with the Western?
Yeah, it was all right, I think. I mean, I kind of felt that wasn't a lot here that we hadn't seen before. And also, as well, this time period is one that we often seem to visit in fiction set in America. Not necessarily Doctor Who fiction.
Yeah.
But I could make that criticism of elsewhere as well. So, right, as you say, it's very Brain of Morbius.
Yeah, I felt it was kind of a rather slight or light story to open the collection with. Nobody died except for the creature's consciousness. We didn't really get any insights into America. I mean, this could have just as easily taken place in the Scottish Highlands or something. There was nothing super American about it.
No.
The Ninth Doctor story we read, I think it was in Tales of Terror, about the patchwork Cybermen in a traveling carnival or circus around this time. That felt much more American than this story did. And then the kind of the lack of closure with the villain did make me wonder if narratively that the thread would be picked up by a subsequent story or something, but that didn't happen.
No.
These are all standalone. There's no through line through the stories.
No, I mean, you don't even have the Doctor wondering why the TARDIS consistently taking him to America.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything else you would say about this first one?
No, it's all right. Yeah.
Okay. I'll reset the timer.
Yep.
And our next story is Off the Trail, which takes place along the Oregon Trail in 1846. Chris, did you ever play the Oregon Trail video game growing up? Or try it?
I think not. No. I mean, I've heard of it, yes.
It actually originated in Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
If you ever look up the MECC, which is the Minnesota Educational Computing Consortium, they were state-funded and originated such games as Odell Lake, Lemonade Stand, Number Munchers, and Word Munchers. And they ran from 1972 to 1999.
Okay, cool.
And much like the video game, this story starts off on the Oregon Trail in Missouri, and it takes place 3 years earlier than our previous story.
Yeah, and focuses on a family called the Seymours, who are on the Oregon Trail, and they wake up in a kind of like a very still moonlit landscape, and they're thinking that something seems to be a bit wrong. And then they start getting menaced by giant metal spiders, which is a bit of an indication. And we see most of the story, we see from the point of view of their daughter, Hattie. And I don't know if we get an age for Hattie, but I'm kind of assuming like maybe early teens.
Yeah, she reminded me a little bit of like Laura Ingalls Wilder in the Little House on the Prairie books, because you've got like the wagon train and having to sleep in the wagon with the supplies. And
yeah, and it takes a while for the Doctor to rock up in this story, almost kind of like an Eric Sayward Sixth Doctor, like length of time of like there's a lot of action happening, and then the Doctor appears and starts helping them deal with the spiders, and then he realizes something that the Seymours haven't, that they're not actually seeing the reality of where they are, because they're not on the Oregon Trail anymore. They are in a spaceship.
Yeah, they were kind of beamed up into a giant
holodeck.
Yeah. And they're kind of getting tested by these metal spiders to see whether this planet would be suitable for invasion or not.
Yeah.
And so the Doctor helps them out and kind of edits all the test scripts of the spiders and their programming and sends them all back on their way and returns them to the trail from which they were apparated from.
Yeah, because the spiders have the belief that humans are very powerful and are going to kind of like absolutely defeat them. So they just go off and do their own thing. For me, my thoughts on this story are, I mean, again, it's a bit like this could have happened with Highlanders, or this could have happened in various other, but there isn't something super American here.
Yeah. I liked this story a little bit more than the first one, because you get more of a sense of the Doctor's character as he's trying to motivate the family to help him and kind of convince them.
Yeah.
But I would have appreciated a few more twists and turns. The Seymour family here was giving me vibes, and just a little bit, of the family from The Fire of London, the first Doctor story, Invasion from Space, that also rocked up in Campaign, the Mortimers.
Yeah.
Kind of like how they were just in such disbelief, as to what the Doctor was. And at one point, Hattie calls her father Dad, and that took me out of the story a bit, because I would think that father or pa would have been more common in American parlance, but I looked it up, and Dad did originate in the 1500s, so it's not anachronistic to say that, I guess. And that reminded me of like something Lisa Bowerman said about how she doesn't like people using the word okay, like if it's like a Jago and Lightfoot, or because it just wasn't commonly used at the time.
Yeah, but also, even if it was a phrase that was known at the time, I think you still have to kind of go, well, is it going to snap the reader out?
And there was only the slightest hint of social commentary about the Oregon Trail and like the indigenous people being displaced from their lands. And
yes,
at one point the Doctor brings it up and says, I could bring it up, but what would be the point? I was like, well...
yeah, you could. Yeah, I mean, that is one thing that is very much absent from this, is any mention, I would say, of controversial parts of American history.
Yeah, I would have liked if there had been more period detail that could have been included about like what life was like, as part of a wagon train, and I know it's short story length, but it just again felt somewhat slight in terms of the subject matter. And I did quite like the idea of they're falling asleep in this wagon and waking up being magically transported somewhere else, but it just was left wanting more again, I guess. I could say.
Yeah. But not in a good way. But yeah.
We still have about a minute left on the timer,
yes.
So I'll reset.
This is going to be a recurring theme, yes. Okay, all right. And next we have Ghosts of New York. And this is a story which is implied it's set in the 30s.
It's 1902 is the...
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it lists the... Maybe it doesn't in the electronic version, but...
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Because it happens 30 years before he had a strange encounter on the Empire State Building, the Doctor.
Yeah, and some 36 years earlier than when Amy and Rory were there, so he can visit. Although, wasn't he in Return of Dr. Mysterio trying to clear up that time storm, or... I think that's why he was originally attaching equipment to the roof of Grant's building, was to fix that.
So Pete, who is a subway construction worker, sees a ghost of Mike, who'd been a colleague of his, and he's getting somewhat freaked out by it, and there's quite a few like newspaper headlines about there being ghosts in the subway, which kind of also gives you a wee bit of a Ghostbusters kind of vibe,
or especially Ghostbusters 2.
Yes, yeah. And Pete kind of like stumbles across the Doctor, and Pete decides to kind of like bravely go with the Doctor to investigate what's happening, because a few of his colleagues are kind of are deciding, no, we're not doing anything like this. But Pete wants to kind of go and see it.
And the ghosts are kind of silently beckoning, which was very much like how the ghosts appeared in Under the Lake, the Series 9 Capaldi story.
But also as well, the ghosts, for me, are somewhat reminiscent of Plague City.
Oh, yes, especially because we have a buried spaceship.
Yes.
Yeah, the plot was very similar to that as well.
Yes.
Although I think that book came out after, because that was with Bill, right?
Yeah, because it turns out that the ghosts are being used to scare people away from a crashed spaceship. And when the Doctor finds the spaceship, he realises that there are various people who are cryogenically frozen. And he's a bit concerned that getting the spaceship away will kind of like blow up parts of New York. But then he managed to, magically finds a way to do it.
So, yeah, Pete, one of the construction workers, he runs off, and then the Doctor's left with another construction worker named Tom, who's a little bit more brave.
Ah, okay. Oh, I misremembered.
Oh, no,
okay.
that's fine. But when Tom mentioned that he didn't want to go back to digging subway tunnels, I was hoping we'd get a reveal at the end of the story that he turned out to be somebody famous, and it was like a stealth celebrity historical, but no such luck.
Yeah.
And then at one point, Tom's like, well, we're underneath this block, and it happens to be empty. And I thought, well, gosh, I hope Tom isn't wrong about that, whether there's an empty lot above the spaceship because it's about to take off, or I hope it doesn't exit up at an angle, being propelled forward by its engines, because that wasn't taken into account whatsoever. And then when the Doctor's on this spaceship, there's like suspension pods or whatever, and he checks one of them, and it's got like a dried up husk in it. But he may have wanted to check all the pods rather than just one to confirm there weren't any survivors still on the ship.
Yeah.
I guess, for this one, I was engaged more by this story than the first two.
Yeah.
And I think it had something to do with that it was a more urban and less rural setting.
Yeah.
And I also kind of liked the glimpse we got of the Doctor just wandering around New York for a while before the plot picked up, where, he's like walking through the park and reading the newspaper. And the other missed opportunity I felt here was I wish some of the ghosts we had seen had been from the Doctor's past.
Yeah.
Like, had this been set when I thought it would have been cool to see, like, Clara from Face the Raven, and it would have been especially poignant because the Doctor wouldn't know or remember who she was.
Yeah.
Or maybe, if the Doctor could have seen Adric or the Brigadier or somebody.
Yeah.
It was a story.
Yeah, it was one of the more enjoyable stories, but yes.
Yeah, it definitely held my interest.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to
Taking the Plunge,
which is set in Florida in 2017.
So it's in a theme park, so possibly a Universal Studios type thing, and there is a ride called Space Plunge,
which is very similar to Space Mountain.
Yes, which is that's in Disney World, is that?
Yep.
Yeah, and people who go on Space Plunge emerge like feeling very, very tired.
Like their energy's been drained, or
Yes, yeah, and like slightly unusually, this story starts with the Doctor just wandering around the theme park for like no obvious reason, and the Doctor investigates Space Plunge, and he finds that there's a box that's been planted inside a ride that's sucking out people's energy. Then a maintenance guy called Tunbridge discovers him. But Tunbridge has got a laser gun, which is suggesting that he's possibly not from Florida. We learn that Tunbridge is from the planet Bellicazario, and that he's a businessman capturing the life energy to sell back to the people of Bellicazario.
And unfortunately, it's not a thing where once you go on this ride, your energy eventually comes back. You remain linked to this box.
Yeah.
And it'll continue to drain your life force until you die.
Yeah.
If it's left linked long enough. And the Doctor manages to reverse the process and send the life essence back to those it was stolen from.
Yeah.
And he wires that box like underneath the pilot chair of the ship that Tunbridge is flying, so it takes off, and he ends up like Tunbridge's energy starts being drained. Although, interestingly, the narrative makes it very clear that the Doctor doesn't kill Tunbridge, but rather drains him enough for him to be in a coma for quite some time, and that he'll recover eventually. So that seemed odd to me, like the safeties were on, so to speak, where the Doctor doesn't really outright kill anyone.
Yeah. Even still, I did kind of think maybe it would be very much in keeping with this Doctor.
It would be, yeah.
He has less qualms. But yeah, this one I quite enjoyed, even though I did do a bit of an eye roll of, oh, a theme park. Oh, how exciting. But it was a fun setup, sucking people's energy and everything. And yeah, I thought this one worked quite well.
The narrative says, Tunbridge was finding it hard to concentrate as the equipment the doctor had fixed beneath his seat continued to drain his life essence. He drifted off into a deep sleep, a sleep he wouldn't awake from for a very long time. Yeah, it kind of leaves it open-ended.
Yeah, it does make me think that it's there for your interpretation.
I guess one of the problems I had with this story is with the doctor being kind of pseudo-companionless. Because like in some of the other stories, he had Hattie or he had Tom and Pete and Jesse to kind of like bounce ideas off and stuff. And here you have a lot of like the doctor's inner dialogue being revealed and a lot of him talking to himself, especially as he's like wandering around the theme park at the beginning, which to me is like too much of a reveal behind the curtain.
Yeah.
But I did really appreciate the line where the doctor says, angry people don't think clearly and tend to make mistakes. It felt very in keeping with the doctor.
Yeah. Also, I wondered whether the name Tunbridge was a nudge to Tunbridge Wells, which is where Panini have been based, or possibly are still based, the Doctor Who magazine publishers, and also where Tom Baker has lived for a while, but I don't think lives there anymore. Anyway.
Yeah. And I was hoping we would have gotten at least a reference at some point that, for about 20 years, from 1763 to 1783, Florida became a British colony where it was divided into East and West Florida, but that never came up in the narrative. And it was interesting, too, that he set this slightly in the future because this book came out in 2016 and this was a year later. So,
yes, the first year of the Trump presidency. God. Right. Anyway.
Well, on that note, shall we
move
on to...
Spectator Sport,
which is New Orleans in 1815.
Yes, so the Doctor has arrived, and the date, 1815, means I think more to American audiences than it might to British audiences. But basically, this is during the midst of the Battle of New Orleans, which is a battle that happens after the war has actually been resolved. But word hasn't got round to the combatants in New Orleans that the war is over.
And we're speaking of the War of 1812.
Ah, yes.
Which, is that what the UK calls it as well? Or do they have a different name for it?
We don't really talk about it.
AKA the Revolutionary War, the sequel.
Well, I think British history at that time is more interested in Napoleonic stuff. It's not something we're super taught about.
It is where the British sacked and burned the original White House before it was rebuilt. And it's, as you were saying, the battle takes place 15 days after the signing of the Treaty of Ghent, which formally ended the war in December of 1814. But it wouldn't be ratified by the U.S. until mid-February of the following year, and news of the agreement had not yet reached the United States from Europe. And during this battle, despite a large British advantage in numbers, training, and experience, the American forces, and this wording is according to Wikipedia, defeated a poorly executed assault in slightly more than 30 minutes, with the Americans suffering just 71 casualties, while the British suffered over 2,000. So it was quite a
rout,
which attracts the attention of time-traveling tourists.
Yes,
a la Delta and the Bannerman.
Yes, it's very Delta and the Bannerman. So there's a guide called Mellors, and I think Mellors is the name of the Sean Bean character from Lady Chatterley's Lover. But this is a female Mellors,
And she's wearing like a perception filter.
Yeah.
But it's not disguising her species, it's just disguising like her clothes, because she's still kind of humanish. And so the Doctor finds himself on this battlefield where he uses a sonic to scan a cannonball in the ground to determine what the date is. And she wanders up from another area where she chastises the Doctor for leaving the ship in the safe zone.
Yeah.
And we discover that Mellors is leading this group of time-traveling tourists who are here to witness the battle from the safety of their observation deck on the ship, a la the end of the world, kind of, where you have the gathering of all these different dignitaries and such.
Yeah, and on the ship where the time tourists are hanging out, there's a passenger called the Throne Lord, That's a clunky name. And someone has tried to kill the Throne Lord, and the Throne Lord is unconscious. And we have a little bit of misdirection as to who it's going to be, because I was thinking, oh, we're going to have some kind of murder mystery thing. And then we realise that there's a robot wandering around a ship, and that the robot is responsible.
Yeah, and the robot is kind of like an assassin who's like a robot / android, so you can't really, almost like a Terminator, where you can't tell that it's a robot underneath until its skin gets torn. And
yeah,
I think the misdirection for me was that the medical doctor on board was an Ood. So I was thinking like, oh, maybe the Ood was involved in this attempted assassination.
Yeah.
Because, I was thinking Brian the Ood, who's an assassin.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the doctor kind of hangs out in the Throne Lord's room, where the Throne Lord was sort of strangled but survived the assassination attempt and was recovering, and gets into a fight with the robot where it's, his skin's kind of torn away and he was revealed to be a AI sort of creature. And then the doctor eventually gets the robot outside of the ship, where he's running across the battlefield and is taking note of like where all the cannons are lined up and where they're firing. And this also reminded me of a 1980s video game called Cannonball or Cannon Fodder or something, where it was all about making minute adjustments to angles and taking into account wind and mavity as you try and take out your opponent's cannon.
Yeah.
And eventually he gets it lined up so the assassin is about to kill the doctor, and then a cannonball explodes him.
Yeah, so the cannonball has destroyed the robot so much that there's no kind of like anachronistic debris. So the doctor tuts at the time tourists for being time tourists and gawking, and then just goes on his way. And that is Spectator Sport.
Yeah. This was my favorite story of the collection.
Me too, I think, yeah.
I felt like there was enough plot here that could have maybe supported like a full novel, potentially.
Potentially, yes. Though, again, this could have been any battle anywhere, really.
True.
So, again, we kind of going to go, well, yeah, we're not really having many American experiences. But yeah, it's fine. Yeah, as you say, it's my favourite one. There's quite a bit of world building that's going on, but there's also, like, not a lot of history. Yeah, it's a bit strange to have... I mean, I don't know. I was going to say it's a bit strange... Ooh, out of time. But it's strange to have a story set in New Orleans without really necessarily a flavour of it. But then again, I've not been to New Orleans. And like all that I know is gumbo and vampires and jazz.
You get quite a bit of flavour if you read some Anne Rice novels.
Yes.
Where she'll spend 5 or 6 pages just describing the contents of her room and how it relates historically to things. But a little bit more of that would have been appreciated, again, knowing that, they only have a certain amount of time for each of these stories.
Yeah.
But the lack of Americanness throughout most of these was a little disappointing, I felt.
Yeah, because this could have been set in the English Civil War.
Or even like the Charge of the Light Brigade in
Crimea.
In the War of the Centaurans. Yeah, any of those.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on to our final story, which is Base of Operations, set somewhere in the United States in an undisclosed location in the year 1944.
Yeah.
And this involves the Doctor wandering around a army base.
A military base, yeah.
And making note of like, oh, there's lots of bombs here, and they're getting ready for D-Day, and he is kind of showing his psychic paper saying that Eisenhower sent him to inspect everything, and
he's there because he's detected a rogue transmat, and so that's why he's come onto the military base for his investigations.
And we have another story with perception filters involved.
Yeah.
I would have rather maybe spread those two out.
Yes.
And maybe put one between the first two stories, which both felt very similar with Old West and horses, to kind of provide a bit more variety as you're reading through the collection in terms of placement. But the Doctor meets with the colonel on the base, who he recognizes as human, and then he's introduced to the general, who turns out to be a giant lizard creature, not unlike the aliens from V, or the pteroleptals from The Visitation, although they're a different species.
These are the Volbrachts, and this general is known as Reginter Volbracht, And Reginta is planning to use the Second World War to weaken humanity, and then the Volbrecht can take over the world for reasons. And the Doctor sort of says, well, actually, the war, it's starting to come to an end, so your timing sucks, gentlemen. And the Doctor also manages to use the sonic screwdriver to expose various other Volbrechts throughout the base. Then he uses the transmat to swap them out with the originals, so there actually was a General Herman who was being kept somewhere alive, and they all magically get teleported and swapped.
Yeah, they have to keep the copies alive, kind of like Zygons.
Yeah.
Which is like, why not just use Zygons?
Yes.
Although maybe Moffat was like, no, you can't, because we've been using them in the show proper, maybe. But
Yeah,
and then makes the transport swap, and then the lizards leave before the Doctor can activate the bomb.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether this is there's a nod to V there. There's also as well, I think, a nod to lizard conspiracies from like David Icke and people like that.
I don't know that the Doctor would have gotten away from the army with so few questions at the end, psychic paper or not. Or if he would have ended up on an operating table or something.
Yeah, it seems really quite convenient, but maybe this is how come he hates the CIA so much. Maybe he has some kind of like encounter or something. But yeah, so that is base of operations.
So that brings us to the collection as a whole.
Yes.
And kind of our thoughts on it.
Yeah. I think we've been tipping our hat a bit, I think.
I was, I think, overall just a little disappointed in this collection. I felt it almost had a lack of imagination because, like, for me, I mean, being American, it would have been nice if at least one of these stories was set prior to the colonization of the United States.
Yes.
Granted, it would have taken a lot more research, but that would have been cool. And a lot of people also forget that for as long as the U.S. has been a country, some 240 years, there's also the same length of time prior to that where there were European settlers. You could also maybe even trace it back farther than that with some of the Vikings that, made their way into the country previously. And with the title like American Adventures, I wish some of the stories would have been, I mean, they're all set within the United States, but there's also Canada and Latin America and South America. Maybe set it something in Alaska just for some variety.
Yeah.
A lot of people also forget that during the first 10 years or so of the United States, we operated under a different government called the Articles of Confederation. And not a lot of attention is paid to that time period and why that government structure never worked out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a whole other country that lasted for a whole decade.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean, you could have set something in Texas when it was its own thing. And as you were saying, like maybe under Spanish rule or Dutch or French.
Or British Florida.
Yeah, there is nothing here of the Native American experience. There's nothing here of the African American experience.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, it's probably good that we don't necessarily have something in the Deep South because that would require quite a bit of nuance. But yeah, it feels like a whole host of kind of like greatest hits that have just been chucked into various bits of the States. And as strange as it is to say, I think I got more of a feel of bits of America from King of Terror.
I thought you were going to say from Console Room. But...
No, well, definitely from Console Room, but from King of Terror.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not been to California, but I had more of a sense of it from that book.
Yeah.
That's saying something.
It is. In addition to like setting, with no mentions of Clara in this story, it would have been nice if one or two of the stories featured Nardole. I mean, of course, we've got the note from the author about why he isn't, but even like a hint of Missy in one of the stories, or the Doctor acknowledging that some of his memories were cloudy or missing. And then in terms of the narrative, all the stories were in third person and felt and read the same.
Yeah.
It made me really appreciate collections like we've read from Dave Rudden, where he changes up the point of view or narrative structure between the stories.
Yeah.
Tonally, all the stories seemed like straightforward drama. I would have appreciated like a more lighthearted tale or two. Like you could easily have made the Oregon Trail one a comedy or pastiche of the video game, but maybe the author wasn't familiar with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish they all would have been exciting as the Battle of New Orleans one.
Yes.
They weren't, though.
Yeah.
I'm also not sure that the collection passes the Bechdel test. The second story had a mother and daughter, but the mom didn't get many lines, if at all, and
Yeah.
there weren't really any women characters in the California Gold Rush story or the New York subway story, outside of like ghost projections that didn't talk.
Yeah.
Any of the other women we encounter, like the sightseeing time travel stewardess, is pretty much the only woman in that particular story.
Yeah.
There's just a lack of social commentary on Americanisms or manifest destiny, and
Yeah.
like a couple of other things that I was jotting down, like I was thinking of, is like, why not something about like fast food restaurants spreading across America, like the Buffy episode Double Meat Palace, or something with Operation Paperclip or Operation Blue Book or Area 51, or even an archaeological exhibition uncovering the tomb from the Aztecs and learning about Barbara as Yataxa.
Yeah.
Something NASA related, or space shuttle or space station.
Yeah.
Maybe with Skylab in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Something with like an American branch of UNIT. Like there's so many different places this could have gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And like House of Un-American Activities. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, like the Red Scare.
Watergate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any of those would have been
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad we didn't have like yet another retelling of JFK. But yeah, we didn't go into particularly interesting bits of American history, to me, at least. And at least we didn't do anything super surprising.
So how would you score this collection?
Yeah, I would say probably a 4. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It almost felt like it was just trying to not cause offence.
Yeah, not make any waves, sort of.
Yeah, and just like, well, do something interesting. Maybe if you're not necessarily feeling like you can, then share it with other writers or something. I don't quite understand.
I didn't really get any of those like trademark Justin Richards plot twists in this either.
Yeah.
Like maybe the time tourism thing, that was, oh, that's cool, but...
Yeah, but it's not a twist.
Yeah.
We learn it fairly early on. But yeah, because like, you're right, his novels tend to be quite sort of like twisty. But no.
Yeah, for me, I mean, Doctor Who can be many things. Horror, adventure, comedy, kitchen sink drama, maybe a musical. But one thing it should never be is boring. And I would give this one a middling 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
And now I know why I never hear anyone talk about this collection either.
Yeah, because it's something we've read.
Well, shall we move on to listener feedback?
Yeah, shall we? Yes, let's.
Which we have a lot of this month to talk about.
Yes.
Chris, do you want to maybe start with we got a letter this month?
Yes, well, an email, I think. But from Shag. And Shag decided to read King of Terror because as part of his preparation for Gallifrey 1, he sort of said that he enjoyed the coverage, felt that we made many valid points. He rated the book more favourably. He did enjoy the way that the author put the reader in the headspace of the characters, and saying that there was so much time given to the characters' feelings and thoughts as compared to simply describing what was happening around them. And he found himself invested in the development of the secondary original characters, and he thought it was great to see the Doctor and the Brigadier so comfortable with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but he sort of said that whilst he enjoyed being in the headspace of the characters, he completely agreed with us that the headspace was a bit different from what he'd expect from the Doctor, Tegan and Turlough. And also, the headspace for some of the original characters was possibly not a nice place to be. And that the violence and gore was a bit over the top for his taste in a Doctor Who novel. But he did also remember that this book was written in 1999, and from the author's point of view, Doctor Who was basically a dead property and never coming back. So this was potentially like a vision for how Doctor Who could be made in the year 2000. So like darker, more X-Files-y, and kind of like a late-night cable TV programming vibe.
Yeah, although it seemed a little bit more like La Femme Nikita than Doctor Who. Yes,
and he also reckons that the 2 unit agents were heavily featured. Well, they're heavily featured, are based upon the Professionals characters Bodie and Doyle.
Which we got that same comment on Twitter from Michael.
Yeah.
Made that Professionals nod.
So, yeah, I'm glad that Shag enjoyed it more than we did.
Thank you to Shag of the Fire and Water Podcast Network.
Yes.
Of course. We also heard from Shag on Twitter, where he said of our Choose Your Own Adventure special episode, that it was a delightful and unexpected surprise. He really enjoyed our coverage and detail on the Doctor Who interactive fiction books, and he says that his son read the Makra Terror book years ago, so he had actually heard of that one. Claws of the Makra, I think, is the... Yeah. And then he said, lots of fun and fantastic audio quality for a convention panel recording. Well done. And thanks, Shag. We brought our own mics, which is the same brand and model, and we almost didn't record that panel, but very glad we did. It's kind of like a test run for our panel the following day.
Yes.
Which we also recorded.
Cool. So don't have anything else on Facebook apart from Shag saying, oh, I'm going to read this. What else do we have on the delightful social media platform that is X or Twitter?
Well, we heard from Bernard JKD in Dublin that he had zero recollection of the King of Terror plot, despite having read it back in the day. John Porter says he remembers reading King of Terror, coincidentally on a flight back from Los Angeles at the time. I wonder if he was attending Gallifrey 1.
Yeah.
We heard from Harry Gray, who says he hopes we enjoyed the King of Terror more than he did. He took the book on a holiday with him and deliberately left the book on vacation.
Right. I wonder where that was. There was poor people who might have just picked it up and thought, oh, I guess I might as well just read this Doctor Who book, and then have this idea of the rest of the range is like this.
Maybe they left it for the next person as well.
Yes.
Kenny says of our convention experience, Kenny Smith of Pieces of Faith and the Power of Three podcast, he says, hello, fellas. Hope you're having fun. And we heard from Jeff Murray on Blue Sky, a different platform. Yeah. After we posted one of our special bonus episodes, he says, wow, who knew there were so many Who-related Choose Your Own Adventure books out there?
Yeah.
And it's been a while, but finally we have a new review.
Yes.
This one is from listener Austin, and he writes, I just recently found the podcast and am enjoying it. I just finished listening to the King of Terror episode, and I liked the insight and feedback. Now I can skip this book. He says, I'm still catching up, but I'd love for you to both share your top 5 books. Thank you, Austin.
Right. Yes. Oh, okay.
So do you have...
Yeah. Do I have a top 5? So I would say, well, Human Nature is definitely in there. I would also I would put Love and War. This sounds very Paul Cornelli. And of course, Touched by an Angel. Yeah. And I think I very much enjoyed All Consuming Fire, but we haven't read that yet for the show. Yeah, and I've enjoyed the work of Steve Lyons. I think I might just chuck Conundrum into that. So there we go. I think that's 5. How about you?
For me, and I'm just kind of going off of what we've read on the show, and this is in no particular order. I also would say Human Nature, The Shining Man, Who Killed Kennedy,
yes,
Bad Therapy, and probably the Dave Rudden anthologies have been among my favorites, although that's 6. And then probably honorable mentions to the vampire duology we read, Blood Harvest and Goth Opera, as well as the 2 Sixth Doctor graphic novels, Voyager and the World Shapers.
Yeah, Blood Harvest is another book that gives you more of a sense of America.
Oh, yeah. And that's just from Terrence visiting Chicago for Visions and Chicago TARDIS.
Yes, obviously going on like a walking tour or something, but yeah.
Well, I think our chapter is closed on the American adventures.
Yes.
Both literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
And Chris, I believe that is now your pick.
Yeah. So chapters open, chapters close. And sometimes we are not told of particularly important events in the Doctor's history. So let us go and experience one of the great untold tales. He says, not having read this before. We're going to find out what really happened to the Sixth Doctor. Matt, we're going to experience Spiral Scratch by Gary Russell.
Ah, wow. That is, I know that is I have an idea of like what happens in that book. There will be lots of plot threads from lots of different continuities, I think, kind of
Yes.
coming together, and we'll see how that all
Yes, because I think it makes clear from the blurb that this book happens before Time in Narani. So, yes.
in terms of placement, but
Yes.
that's fantastic, and it'll be interesting to see those different threads pulled together. And
Yeah.
has it been a while since we've read a Gary Russell? Maybe not.
I think we have done one moderately recently, but not. We have not done that many.
Mm-hmm.
We did his 12th Doctor and Benny book, and we did another one comparatively recently, which I can't remember what it was.
Oh, the Twilight Streets, I think.
Oh, yes,
Which is a
yes.
Torchwood book.
Torchwood,
so that was a
Torchwood
while
book.
ago,
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yes.
Excited. Yeah, so this will be our second Gary Russell Doctor Who book that we've read.
Yes. Yeah, which, given how prolific he is as an author, that's quite remarkable.
It is, yeah.
But, yeah.
Cool. Well, until next time, and Spiral Scratch, this has been Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London, happy reading and stay safe.
Thank you for listening to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. Special thanks to George C. Music for use of their song Doctor Who Theme Swing Jazz Version. You can follow us on Twitter at ANDWBC Podcast and like us on Facebook. Help other listeners to find us by leaving a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. You can contact the show by emailing your thoughts to andwbcpodcast@gmail.com. And until next month, happy reading.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we got through all of that plus our con report in less than 90 minutes. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we did well.
Yeah, really well.
Yes.
And that'll be a fun Sixth Doctor one, I think, too, for next month, too.
I think so, yes. And it's a book that I've wanted to do. So I thought, yeah, let's find out one version of this event.
And, and the classic, or the original book club never read that one either, so...
No, they didn't.
They left one for us, yeah.
Yeah. Well, certainly in the new adventures, they steered clear of ones that were very arc-heavy. And with the others, sometimes it was random choice. But also this is not a book that you hear much about, so maybe let's just find out why.